Gene Hackman passed away due to heart disease, while his wife succumbed to hantavirus just a few days prior, according to officials. Rihanna disclosed that she delivered her baby while adorned in pearls and sunglasses. Former Gene Hackman passed away due to heart disease, while his wife succumbed to hantavirus just a few days prior, according to officials. Rihanna disclosed that she delivered her baby while adorned in pearls and sunglasses. Former James Bond actor Pierce Brosnan expressed that it is inevitable that the next 007 should not be American, and he hopes that Amazon will treat the role and the character with respect.
The U.S. is reportedly halting plans for new military exercises in Europe. Germany's MERS is advocating for European nuclear weapons to strengthen the U.S. defense, with Germany planning to engage with France and the UK regarding nuclear weapon sharing. Poland is pursuing access to nuclear arms and aims to establish a 500,000-man army, commenting that 500 million Europeans are seeking protection from 300 million Americans against 140 million Russians, who have been unable to defeat 50 million Ukrainians over the past 3 years.
Constructed following a storm that resulted in the deaths of 10 people. Meanwhile, the governor of New York has issued a state of emergency.
U.S.-Hamas discussion centered on Eden Alexander, the sole hostage with American citizenship, according to a Hamas terror official. Columbia University vows to resolve Trump administration's issues following the withdrawal of $400 million in funding. Immigration agents detain Palestinian activist who spearheaded Columbia University protests. Iran's supreme leader declines nuclear negotiations with the bully U.S.
Las Vegas Strip achieves complete unionization with Fontainebleau's initial labor agreement. Hudson's Bay in Canada is pursuing creditor protection and intends to reorganize its operations. For the first time in a year, China's retail inflation has become negative.
Images reveal a complete.
Sam Bankman-Fried has reportedly been placed in solitary confinement following. This action follows a report from 20 days ago, in which DHS stated that it can, should, and will administer polygraph exams in response to leaks about ICE raid locations.
Trump suggests that co-hosting the World Cup with Canada and Mexico during a trade war adds excitement. China reaches agreements to purchase Ukrainian peas and wild aquatic products.
DOGE is reportedly beginning the implementation of a personalized chatbot to streamline certain government operations. In the United States, the House GOP is proposing a plan to prevent a government shutdown by reducing spending and increasing defense allocations, while also introducing a Trump-supported bill to achieve this goal. Additionally, the Trump administration has decided to maintain the merger guidelines established during the Biden era.
Data indicates that children in the UK as young as 11 are being targeted by criminals involved in sextortion. A study reveals a significant rise in non-fatal exposure to fentanyl among children in the United States over the last 10 years. Beijing plans to introduce AI courses for children to enhance the growth of the sector.
Increased screen time is associated with the development of bipolar and manic symptoms in U.S. preteenagers. Manufacturers of snacks are taking steps to eliminate artificial colors from their processed products. Men who exhibit anger are often viewed by women as having lower intelligence.
Thousands in Nepal are calling for the restoration of the monarchy due to increasing public dissatisfaction with the political situation. A far-right Romanian candidate who supports Russia was prohibited from participating in the presidential election 10 days ago. Additionally, this candidate was detained and charged in connection with an election investigation. Former Philippine President Duterte dismisses the potential arrest by the ICC during his visit to Hong Kong. He also assures Filipinos residing in Hong Kong that he never committed crimes against humanity.
Continue to have access to Starlink, emphasizing its crucial role as the backbone of the Ukrainian army, and warning that the entire front line would collapse if I turned it off. Recently, a conflict arose on X between Poland and the U.S. regarding Ukraine's access to Starlink, with Marco Rubio and Musk confronting the Polish foreign minister, accusing him of fabricating information. Earlier, Poland had expressed readiness to explore alternatives to Starlink for Ukraine if Musk were to be deemed unreliable. Additionally, the U.S. has reportedly partially halted its support for F-16 fighters in Ukraine, as mentioned by Forbes. Furthermore, there are reports indicating that Russia is making progress in Kursk, which poses a threat to Ukraine's only territorial leverage.
Research indicates that seed dispersers assist plants in ascending mountains to evade climate change, highlighting the role of plants in Mesoamerican cloud forests in this process. Approximately half of the well-known tropical plant groups associated with birds of paradise and bananas face the risk of extinction. The study asserts that the ozone hole is recovering due to worldwide efforts to decrease CFC emissions.
Financial Times reveals that Chinese investors secretly acquire shares in Elon Musk's enterprises. Google removes references to diversity and equity from the Responsible AI team's webpage. Trump announces that the U.S. is engaging in discussions with 4 distinct groups regarding the sale of TikTok.
Lawsuit by authors against Meta to proceed. Study indicates that optimal brain processing necessitates a balance between excitatory and inhibitory neurons. Neuralink, led by Elon Musk, seeks to trademark the term telepathy.
Mark Carney is set to become Canada's next Prime Minister after securing the Liberal leadership. In July 2024, an assassination attempt on Trump led to decreased support for partisan violence and heightened group unity. The EU is making plans to allow Ukraine access to the single market as part of a peace agreement. The United States has declined the G7's proposal to address Russia's covert oil tanker fleet, opting instead to concentrate on China. The U.S. indicates that Ukraine is prepared to advance with its truce request. German legislators propose a Euro-eyes espionage network due to doubts about U.S. intelligence, while the U.S. halts its commercial satellite imagery service for Ukraine. U.S. examines egg suppliers amid rising costs. Gucci and Prada shut additional stores in China due to decreased luxury expenditure. Trump administration terminates Iraq's exemption to purchase Iranian electricity. The market for service robots in Japan is expected to grow threefold over the next 5 years. In a groundbreaking development, scientists have created a new micro-battery design that converts nuclear waste into electricity. Meanwhile, TarLogic has discovered a backdoor vulnerability in the widely used ESP32 chip, which is found in numerous smart devices equipped with Bluetooth, posing a potential threat to millions of Internet of Things, IoT devices.
Up to 80 feet, significantly exceeding earlier size estimates. Puppets dating back 2,400 years, characterized by dramatic facial expressions, were found on a pyramid in El Salvador. The remains of a child from 29,000 years ago were discovered in a Thailand cave, accompanied by symbols of blood and power.
Stem cell therapy trial successfully reverses previously considered irreversible damage to the cornea. A new cell transplantation technique has been shown to reverse type 1 diabetes. Preliminary research indicates that aspirin might inhibit cancer metastasis by enhancing the immune response.
This year, Ben Stiller, the director of Severance, likens Lumen Industries to Apple and mentions he has never once received a critical note. Justin Lin collaborates with Keanu Reeves on a tough action film titled BRZRKR.
Russia's inspections on China-Europe rail freight are leading to delays. Argentina has sent military forces to address a large fishing swarm led by China near its waters. Theft of coffee beans is increasing in the U.S. due to rising prices.
In the United States, Homeland Security has revamped its asylum phone application, which is now intended for self-deportation. A Justice Department official claims she was dismissed for opposing the reinstatement of Mel Gibson's gun rights. Tulsi Gabbard has withdrawn security clearances for several high-ranking Biden officials and individuals who criticize Trump.
Aims to close a loophole permitting chemicals in the U.S. food supply. Meanwhile, the Girl Scouts face a lawsuit over alleged heavy metals and pesticides in their cookies. Despite the COVID pandemic, a survey reveals that most Americans still trust the CDC and NIH 5 years later. Reuters has announced that CoreWeave has secured a $12 billion cloud contract from OpenAI, according to sources, prior to the company's IPO. Additionally, Reuters reports that Meta is initiating
A tense standoff ensues as militants hold approximately 250 hostages.
Cortez and Luna propose a bill to limit credit card interest rates to a
Support for Musk amid declining sales, and he vows to classify assaults on Tesla sites as domestic terrorism. The California Pension Fund designates Chevron and Saudi Aramco as climate investments.
Reportedly, startups starting to compete with big tech for India AI talent. Amazon, Google, and Meta support tripling AI talent. Amazon, Google, and Meta support tripling of nuclear capacity by 2050. Geothermal could meet 64% of hyperscale data center power demand, as per a study. The United States will remain a crucial player in the global climate change efforts, even in the absence of Donald Trump, according to the president of COP30. A recent study suggests that the Earth's atmosphere is contracting, which heightens the dangers associated with space debris. This is because climate change is expected to decrease the number of satellites that can safely orbit the planet. Additionally, Relativity has appointed Eric Schmidt as its new CEO while simultaneously advancing the development of its Terran R rocket.
Sony Music reports the removal of more than 75,000 items in its ongoing efforts to combat AI deepfakes. Scale AI is under investigation due to claims that it is not adequately compensating its data labeling contractors. A leaked internal Sony video features Horizon's Alloy to demonstrate an AI-powered prototype of a PlayStation character.
It's being hosted on GitHub. NTT acknowledged that hackers obtained details of nearly 18,000 corporate customers during a cyber attack. Federal authorities connected a $150 million cyber hiss to the 2022 LastPass hacks.
Carlos Slim has decided to sever his connection with Elon Musk's Starlink, and is instead investing a substantial $22 billion in establishing his own independent network. In a separate development, Airtel has declared a partnership with SpaceX to introduce Starlink's high-speed internet services to its customer base in India. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is attempting to arrange a meeting with the Italian president in an effort to rescue the Starlink deal, following reports from 7 days ago that Italy is becoming hesitant about proceeding with the agreement to utilize Musk's Starlink.
Xi Jinping reportedly used a line of soldiers to prevent direct eye contact with Mark Zuckerberg, according to a new book. Additionally, a former executive claims that Facebook employees would intentionally lose board games against Zuckerberg. During the 2 sessions in Beijing, there are indications of increased protections for delivery riders. Meanwhile, Deliveroo has withdrawn from Hong Kong due to pressure from Meituan and Zap, and Uber has halted its acquisition of Delivery Hero's Taiwan Foodpanda business because of regulatory challenges. Ukraine has accepted a 30-day ceasefire in exchange for weapons from the United States. Meanwhile, Poland is seeking 100,000 volunteers to undergo military training in 2027. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, advises that governments should utilize EU loans to purchase goods from European manufacturers. Additionally, Bloomberg highlights that Estonia's startups are finding opportunities in Europe's rapid rearmament efforts.
California prisons restrict inmate movement following a series of 7 homicides. Redfin reveals that the top 1% of wealthiest Americans have the financial capability to purchase 99% of the homes available in the country. The increasing worldwide demand for matcha is causing a shortage in Japan.
Spain is set to implement significant penalties for failing to label content created by artificial intelligence. In the European Union, Apple and Meta have managed to steer clear of fines that could have reached up to 10% of their global revenue, instead encountering only minor sanctions. Meanwhile, Google has updated its Chrome extension policies in response to the Honey link scandal, now imposing restrictions on questionable affiliate extensions such as Honey.
In the United States, Senator Cynthia Lummis has reintroduced the Bitcoin Act, which proposes enabling the country to purchase $80 billion worth of Bitcoin. Meanwhile, Coinbase has registered with India's Financial Intelligence Unit and intends to launch crypto trading services within the year. Additionally, Thailand has given the green light for USDT and USDC to be traded on cryptocurrency exchanges.
TikTok plans to implement a 10 p.m. curfew for the majority of teenagers. LEGO is establishing an in-house game development team, creating a new studio. Waymo is providing round-the-clock robotaxi services in Silicon Valley.
During a speech at Harvard, the former Prime Minister of Israel humorously suggested he would provide protesters with exploding pagers. A comedian who made disparaging remarks about Puerto Rico at a Trump rally has secured a deal with Netflix. China is set to convene Russia and Iran for discussions on nuclear matters, coinciding with Trump's efforts to negotiate a weapons agreement.
By Netflix, Universal has acquired Dennis Quaid's biopic about President Reagan for international distribution.
The Department of Defense has revealed that the Pentagon is cutting back on social science research to focus on fiscal responsibility and technologies for future battlefields.
Increase the staff by a factor of 2. Meanwhile, Harvard University has decided to halt its hiring process amid threats from Donald Trump to withdraw funding. Additionally, Reuters has reported that Trump is considering the establishment of minerals refining facilities on Pentagon bases to enhance the United States' production capabilities, according to sources.
Security unit to address state-sponsored threats to U.S. telecommunications. 404 Media reports the extensive list of over 200 sites being monitored by an IC surveillance contractor.
A comprehensive report on the next-generation Xbox is expected to be released in 2027, while an Xbox-branded gaming handheld is anticipated to launch later in 2025. Within just 1 week, Saudi Arabia has acquired Pokémon Go and a significant portion of Street Fighter's esports industry. Microsoft's latest innovation, the Xbox Copilot, will serve as an AI gaming coach.
Greenland's gradualists towards independence triumph in the election, coinciding with Trump's promise to control the region. Trump envisions the U.S. annexing Greenland, despite a NATO leader informing him that the organization will not engage in any potential takeover. Additionally, Greenlanders reportedly reject Trump's advances, with rare earth minerals influencing coalition discussions. The Pentagon is reportedly instructed to offer military options to guarantee U.S. access to the Panama Canal, according to a memo. Meanwhile, China advises C.K. Hutchison to reconsider its Panama ports deal, criticizing the plan to sell Panama Canal ports to BlackRock as spineless. 10 months prior, China secured the bid to construct Georgia's new Black Sea container port. Putin and Lukashenko have signed a protocol allowing Belarusians and Russians to vote in local elections in each other's countries.
With inadequate diet and health, referencing unconventional theories. Additionally, Germany's BND suggests that the COVID pandemic was probably triggered by a laboratory accident. Furthermore, a study indicates that the U.S. duck population has decreased by 30% since 2017.
JP Morgan reduces its price forecast for Tesla shares, anticipating decreased deliveries. BMW reports a 37% decline in yearly net profit and cautions about weak Chinese demand. Mercedes introduces an entry-level electric sedan as a competitive move against Tesla.
Pete Hegseth plans to reform U.S. military lawyers to ease war rules. A UN probe declared the Israel attack on a Gaza IVF clinic a genocidal act. Migrants still at Guantanamo Bay have been relocated to Louisiana for deportation, with Trump considering the Wartime Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to facilitate these deportations back to Guantanamo.
The New Republic states that Trump's FBI is taking steps to criminally charge significant climate organizations, and the EPA head intends to reverse numerous environmental regulations, among them those concerning climate change. Bill Gates' climate group has reduced its policy teams in the U.S. and Europe. Los Angeles experiences a major winter storm, prompting evacuation warnings, rescues, and a tornado.
Binance receives its largest investment ever in the cryptocurrency sector, with Abu Dhabi SMGX committing $2 billion. According to WSJ, the Trump family has engaged in discussions with Binance after the crypto exchange's guilty plea. An administrator of Garantex has been apprehended in India at the behest of U.S. authorities.
Putin calls for the army to liberate the Kursk region while Ukraine retreats. Reuters indicates that Russia seeks proposals from companies for sanctions relief. The Kremlin communicated to the U.S. that it did not wish for Trump's Ukraine-Russia envoy to participate in peace talks.
Astronomers have found 128 new moons around Saturn. Unlike Earth, Mars's middle atmosphere seems to be influenced by gravity waves. The rescue of stranded astronauts is postponed due to a launch cancellation by SpaceX and NASA.
Meta AI achieves 80% accuracy in reconstructing typed sentences from brain activity. Apple is developing an AirPods feature capable of live translating conversations.
Elon Musk claims that Doge is present in nearly all federal agencies and intends to increase the staff by twofold. Doge suggests reducing the IRS workforce by approximately 20%, and Bloomberg reports that Doge has 10 employees at Social Security searching for deceased individuals. The U.S. Postal Service plans to reduce its workforce by 10,000 following an agreement with Elon Musk's Doge. Elon Musk secretly visits the NSA after stating the agency requires an overhaul. A U.S. judge mandates that Doge and Musk provide records related to cost-cutting measures. Reuters indicates that Trump is aiming to establish minerals refining operations on Pentagon bases to enhance U.S. production, according to sources. Dollar General alerts that the financial situation of low-income Americans is deteriorating. Citigroup intends to significantly reduce IT contractors and hire employees to enhance controls.
With Poland and Turkey pledging to collaborate on defense and arms production. A week ago, it was noted that markets are eager for EU war bonds, and Poland's president is calling on the U.S. to relocate nuclear warheads to Polish soil. Lukashenko claims that Americans lack a strategy for conflict in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Putin supports a U.S.-crafted ceasefire proposal but mentions certain nuances, and U.S. intelligence indicates that he still aims for Ukraine's domination.
Seattle Kraken's Montour scores the NHL's quickest overtime goal in just 4 seconds. A biopic about Tiger Woods is being developed, with Barack and Michelle Obama reportedly in discussions to serve as producers. Versace is entering a new phase as Dario Vitale assumes leadership, following Donatella's decision to step down.
Trump warns of a 200% tariff on European wine and champagne following the EU's suggestion to tax American whiskey. Tim Law states, "We wouldn't be in this mess if we had won the election." The Hill notes that reductions.
Georgia's former president, Mikhail Saakashvili, has been given an additional 9-year prison sentence due to charges of embezzlement. Meanwhile, Portugal is preparing for an unexpected election following the government's failure to secure a vote of confidence. In a significant development, Armenia and Azerbaijan have reached an agreement on the terms of a treaty aimed at concluding nearly 4 decades of conflict.
Anthropic's CEO suggests an AI quit job button, leading to doubt. OpenAI states the AI race is concluded if training on copyrighted material isn't deemed fair use, labeling DeepSeek as state-controlled, and advocating for bans on PRC-produced models. French publishers and authors file a lawsuit against Meta for using copyright works in AI training.
Mozilla claims that Google's final remedy proposal in the US DOJ case will negatively impact independent browsers. 13 months ago, iRobot, the maker of Roomba, expressed substantial doubt about its ability to continue after Amazon terminated their deal, leading to a 31% staff layoff. UB Tech from China introduces a $41,000 humanoid robot as part of its effort to create more affordable machines.
Japanese scientists have successfully produced a large number of cells for sperm and eggs using human-induced pluripotent stem cells. Beam's base editing therapy has demonstrated proof of concept in a rare lung disease. Research indicates that brain aging undergoes nonlinear transitions, pointing to a midlife critical window for metabolic intervention. SoftBank and OpenAI will operate AI agents at the former Sharp LCD plant. The Financial Times highlights that DeepSeek prioritizes research over profit, unlike Silicon Valley. Singapore prosecutors reveal that a U.S. server fraud case includes $390 million in transactions. 3 weeks ago, 3 men were charged with fraud, and the cases are connected.
BBC executives argue that the World Service should receive complete state funding to combat disinformation. Meanwhile, Newsmax has agreed to pay $40 million to settle a defamation lawsuit related to the 2020 election. Additionally, Meta's community notes will incorporate open-source technology developed by Elon Musk's X. Comcast secures a $3 billion agreement to retain the rights to the Olympics until 2036. Spotify introduces an initiative to release audiobooks by independent authors. The unproduced Star Wars Underworld television series by George Lucas was estimated to have a production cost exceeding $2.4 billion.
Promoting critical memoir, which reportedly portrays a harsh picture of Mark Zuckerberg. Huawei lobbyists detained in Belgium during raids related to EU corruption. China establishes a secure quantum satellite communication link with South Africa.
Brazil is felling thousands of trees in the Amazon to construct a road for COP30. Japan is selling off emergency rice reserves due to rising prices. A study reveals that unoccupied housing in China's cities is releasing significant amounts of carbon.
A river in Zambia suddenly ceased to flow due to an acidic waste spill from a Chinese-owned mine, leading to an environmental disaster on the Kafue River. The rising price of gold is pushing narcos into illegal mining in the Amazon. Mexicans are demanding explanations following the discovery of bones and shoes at a cartel camp.
Ted Lasso renewed for Season 4, Jason Sudeikis returning. Netflix's most expensive movie ever, The Electric State, is a dumb, unfunny $320 million flop. A documentary analyzes Street Fighter II's cultural impact, 30-plus years later.
NASA analysis shows unexpected amount of sea level rise in 2024. Melting Antarctic ice sheets will slow Earth's strongest ocean current, and Earth's strongest ocean current could slow down by 20% by 2050 in a high-emissions future. At least 32 dead as tornadoes sweep through parts of U.S.
Trump promises to reveal his adversaries in a political speech at the Justice Department, labeling CNN and MSNBC as illegal for their negative reporting. Trump refers an 18th-century law to expedite deportations, but a judge halts it shortly after, as the White House declared the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act concerning the Tren de Aragua invasion.
The Justice Department is considering terrorism charges against pro-Palestinian demonstrators at Columbia University. In the United States, more than 50 universities are being investigated under Trump's campaign against DEI initiatives. A woman involved in a protest at Columbia University was detained for immigration violations, while another individual chose to self-deport, according to DHS. Ukraine's President Zelensky expresses optimism about concluding the war. Following a request from Trump, Putin announces he will allow Ukrainian troops in Kursk to remain if they surrender. Zelensky denies any encirclement of Ukrainian troops in Russia's Kursk region, accusing Putin of deceit. Trump clarifies he was being somewhat sarcastic when he claimed he could end the Russia-Ukraine war in 24 hours. Meanwhile, Germany secures an agreement to significantly increase spending on defense, climate, and other areas.
AI researchers doubt that current models will result in artificial general intelligence. A Japanese startup, Sakana, creates the world's first AI-generated paper, which successfully undergoes peer review. Experiments suggest that ChatGPT is seen as more empathetic than human crisis responders. Foxconn supports AI servers following a decline in profits and predicts robust growth in AI server demand by 2025. JP Morgan engineers experience a 20% increase in efficiency due to a coding assistant. TechCrunch notes confusion about the definition of an AI agent. Amazon will no longer allow users to opt out of sending Echo voice recordings to the cloud, with all Echo interactions being sent to Amazon beginning March 28.
Baidu, a Chinese company, introduces a new, complementary AI model to challenge DeepSeek. Meanwhile, Sesame, the entity responsible for the popular virtual assistant Maya, unveils its foundational AI model. Additionally, China mandates the labeling of online content produced by AI. Will Smith is planning to release his first full-length album in more than 2 decades, titled Based on a True Story, which is scheduled for a March 2025 debut. Meanwhile, Sony is developing a reboot of Starship Troopers, with Neil Blomkamp set to direct a new adaptation of the science fiction novel. Additionally, Stephen Curry has made history as the first NBA player to achieve 4,000 three-pointers.
In the U.S., the housing market is tightening, with the income required to purchase a typical home increasing by 79% over the past 5 years. Bloomberg indicates that Gen Z Americans lack sufficient savings to cover even a single month of expenses. Additionally, in the U.S., a staggering $12.5 billion was reported lost to scams and fraud in 2024, disproportionately affecting older adults.
RCS Update introduces end-to-end encryption, with Google and Apple confirming their support. Apple will soon enable encrypted RCS messaging with Android users. An internet breakthrough sees the unveiling of the world's first operating system for quantum networks, QNOT-OS, which is the first of its kind and sets the stage for future quantum applications. A Chinese team has officially reported on Zukanzi 3.0, claiming a speed-up of 1 million times over Google's Sycamore.
It's 41 countries for travel curbs ranging from Iran to Pakistan. Memo. In the U.S., State Department imposes sanctions on Thai officials after wire men are deported to China. Bill to block Chinese student visas is introduced in U.S. Congress.
Joby is set to introduce an air taxi service in the UK in collaboration with Virgin Atlantic. Tesla is considering a more affordable version of the Model Y, and a self-driving upgrade to counteract the decline in sales in China. Waymo received almost 600 parking tickets in San Francisco last year. U.S. Weather Agency job cuts may threaten climate risk data, insurers caution. VOA journalists placed on administrative leave following Trump's decision to eliminate the parent agency, and Voice of America terminating contracts with Associated Press, Reuters, and Agence France-Presse. Vance anticipates a significant TikTok deal by the April 5 deadline. Bloomberg notes that AI enthusiasm is spreading throughout China's political circles, boosting tech optimism, and that DeepSeek, a national treasure in China, is now under strict protection. In the U.S., the House GOP has issued subpoenas to major tech companies, seeking evidence that President Biden influenced AI to adopt progressive views. Additionally, the FBI and CISA have alerted that 1.8 billion Gmail accounts are potentially vulnerable to the Medusa ransomware. Observing scenes from nature has been shown to alleviate pain, according to a neuroimaging study. A midlife waist-to-hip ratio that is lower is associated with a longer duration of cognitive function. Research indicates that brief alterations in diet can result in obesity.
Delivery driver suffers severe burns from hot tea at Starbucks, receives $15 million compensation from LA jury. SpaceX reveals that not all dying Starlink satellites completely burn up upon re-entry. Sweden's Klarna announces a 24%
ISIS leader in Iraq and Syria has been killed, according to the Iraqi Prime Minister. The United States has initiated significant airstrikes targeting Houthi positions in Yemen, resulting in at least 9 fatalities, as former President Trump declares decisive and powerful strikes on Yemen's Houthis, warning hell will rain down upon you. Acute malnutrition rates have increased by 2-fold within a single month in the northern region of the Gaza Strip, as reported by UNICEF.
Nationwide demonstrations are being organized following the detention of a former Columbia University activist by immigration enforcement. Hamas declares it will only free the American-Israeli hostage upon the execution of a ceasefire agreement, while Israel continues its military operations in Gaza despite the truce. A pro-Israel organization claims to possess a deportation list and has reportedly submitted thousands of names to Trump administration officials.
21Shares plans to liquidate 2 Bitcoin and Ether futures ETFs due to the market downturn. Block is focusing on lending expansion following a stock slump 1 month ago, as reported by Reuters. Binance CEO suggests Trump might influence a global pro-crypto movement.
Crypto password cracking firm Unciphered faces turmoil due to co-founder's controversial past. Dual Russian and Israeli national extradited to the United States for his involvement in the Lockbit ransomware conspiracy. Pirate Bay financier and far-right activist Carl Lundstrom passes away in a plane crash.
EU plans to allocate $5 billion to South Africa following the withdrawal of U.S. aid. The Atlantic notes that Democrats in the U.S. face challenges with male representation. In the U.S., local funding for initiatives like airports and mentorship programs is vanishing amidst the budget conflict.
Conor McGregor's remarks on immigration at the White House have been criticized by the Irish Prime Minister. McGregor has expressed dissatisfaction with Ireland, labeling it an illegal immigration racket. Newsweek notes that the White House is celebrating St. Patrick's Day with a fighter who has been found guilty of civil rape. Meanwhile, Axios reports that MAGA supporters are already considering Vance for the 2028 presidential race. A month ago, The Hill mentioned that Vance is a strong favorite to succeed Trump in the PAC straw poll. Additionally, a French MEP has suggested returning the Statue of Liberty to the U.S., but the White House said it will not return the Statue of Liberty to France.
Myanmar military airstrike results in the deaths of 27 individuals and injuries to 30 in a resistance stronghold. Georgia imposes an additional sentence of 4.5 years on former President Saakashvili for unlawfully crossing the border. Rwanda and Belgium expel each other's diplomatic representatives due to the ongoing conflict in the Congo.
A coalition of European tech industry leaders is urging for radical action to enhance digital sovereignty, beginning with a focus on purchasing local products. According to Bloomberg, Turkey is considering new regulations for big tech companies that could lead to a conflict with the United States. Meanwhile, Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has declared that the country will never, ever become part of the US, as he aims to build alliances in Europe. Additionally, President Macron is advocating for the EU to prioritize European defense suppliers over those from the United States.
Kanye West releases a new track reportedly including Diddy, From Prison, Northwest, and Christian King Combs. Disney reduces the scale of the Snow White Hollywood premiere due to controversies involving Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, with the stars Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler experiencing tension over the Israel-Palestine conflict. Suzanne Collins' editor suggests that a Hunger Games sequel is unlikely to happen.
Crypto exchange OKX halts DeFi service amid EU investigation, freezing Web3 platform following Bybit thieves laundering $100 million. Klarna, approaching IPO, secures profitable Walmart fintech partnership from competitor Affirm. PepsiCo plans to acquire prebiotic soda brand Poppi for approximately $2 billion.
Washington Examiner quotes Musk as claiming that Democrats spent $200 billion to purchase votes from illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, China and the UK have committed to collaborating on climate change issues, with a Chinese economist urging decisive action to step into the climate leadership void.
The Trump administration has restarted the detention of immigrant families following a pause during the Biden era. Eric Prince, the former CEO of Blackwater, asserts that the government requires assistance from the private sector to carry out deportations. Additionally, DOJ has been granted access to the U.S. Institute of Peace following an overhaul of the board by the Trump administration.
South Korea's chip exports to China decrease due to stricter U.S. controls. Alphabet creates a Starlink competitor called Tara. Elon Musk's Starlink extends its coverage throughout the White House complex.
BYD introduces a battery system capable of charging EVs in just 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Audi is cutting 7,500 jobs and seems to be moving away from its EV-only strategy. Additionally, it was reported a month ago that Tesla's board chair has sold the majority of her shares in the company.
404 media comments describe AI slop as a crude assault on the algorithms governing reality. Numerous actors and Hollywood insiders have joined in an open letter, pleading with the government to refrain from using copyright laws for AI. Apple's Siri chief has labeled AI delays as unsightly and humiliating, assuring that solutions are forthcoming.
Zoom AI Companion enhances its capabilities throughout the Zoom platform by employing reasoning and memory to initiate actions and manage task execution, including conversational self-service and custom agent development. Over 45 new innovations have been unveiled. According to Adobe Analytics, Etsy and eBay are striving to replicate social media with highly personalized shopping experiences, as traffic to U.S. retail websites from generative AI sources has surged by 1,200%. Roblox is launching Roblox Cube, its fundamental generative AI system designed for 3D and 4D environments.
A recent study has discovered that exposure to heat can accelerate aging to a similar extent as smoking.
Engaging in frequent blood donations encourages the regeneration of blood cells by facilitating genetic adaptation.
Research indicates that marriage increases the risk of obesity in men by threefold, although this effect is not observed in women.
Google collaborates with MediaTek to produce more affordable AI chips. Intel achieves a significant milestone with the initial production of 1.8 nanometers class wafers at its Arizona facility. Huawei is advancing in computer chip development as it distances itself from Intel and Windows. With the expiration of its Windows license for Huawei PCs, HarmonyOS may emerge as a potential alternative. Discord introduces an SDK to enhance social infrastructure and communication for games. Google transforms its Play Games app for PC into a competitor to Steam, while expanding PC game support and launching a new Earn Back initiative. In the UK, Ofcom declares the enforcement of the Online Safety Act, mandating platforms to begin addressing illegal material immediately. Amazon intends to eliminate 14,000 managerial roles to achieve a yearly savings of $3.5 billion. The 12-foot Twitter bird logo, originally located at the San Francisco headquarters, is being auctioned.
Restoration shows Churchill painting is 100 years older than listed. Research indicates that Greek and Roman statues were not only painted and decorated with textiles and jewelry, but also perfumed. Matt Rickman becomes the first American man to win the Los Angeles Marathon in 31 years.
U.S. Commerce Department bureaus prohibit the use of China's DeepSeek on government devices, according to sources. Baidu unveils its initial reasoning model, Ernie X1, amid intensifying AI competition. China's Vidu and Aura Productions announce a collaboration to premiere a sci-fi series featuring AI-generated anime shorts.
Shakespeare's birthplace is set to undergo decolonization due to concerns about white supremacy. Elon Musk describes Tesla protesters as deranged, suggesting they wish to harm him because of his involvement with the White House. Additionally, a site called DogeQuest alleges it is exposing Tesla owners throughout the United States. Ben & Jerry's has leveled accusations against its parent company, Unilever, claiming that the CEO was removed against their will because of the company's social mission.
Gazprom, once a dominant force in Russia, is now liquidating its upscale properties following a reported $12.9 billion loss. Meanwhile, the UK is aspiring to take a leadership role in climate finance, stepping in as the US retracts from its commitments. Additionally, the chief executive of COP30 has issued a stern warning that nations need to intensify their climate initiatives or face the potential for conflict.
The creator of Andor has decided not to release the episode scripts to the public, citing concerns that they might be utilized to train artificial intelligence software. He expressed his reluctance by saying, "Why help the FING robots?" Meanwhile, academics are criticizing AI startups for allegedly exploiting the peer review process to gain publicity. Just a week ago, Sakana announced that its AI-generated papers successfully passed peer review. Additionally, The Independent is set to introduce a new news service that will be supported by Google AI.
OpenAI warns that China might force DeepSeek to engage in harmful activities and advocates for a ban. Mark Zuckerberg announces that Meta's Llama models have achieved 1 billion downloads. NVIDIA introduces Isaac GR00TN1, the first open humanoid robot foundation model, along with simulation frameworks to accelerate robot development, enhancing generalized skills and reasoning in humanoid robots. NVIDIA, Google DeepMind, and Disney Research collaborate to create a next-generation open-source Newton physics engine.
Lego Pokémon will be available, with the initial sets expected in 2026. A procession of 897 dachshunds in Germany has set a new Guinness World Record. Marina Abramovic is planning to launch a 950-piece NFT collection. Trump's letter to Iran set a 2-month deadline for a new nuclear agreement. A week ago, a UAE official handed over a letter from Trump to Iran, encouraging nuclear discussions. Reuters indicates that the U.S. is pausing certain activities to combat Russian sabotage as Trump's relationship with Putin becomes more apparent. The Pentagon plans to reduce up to 60,000 civilian positions through buyouts and natural attrition.
NVIDIA's CEO, Huang, emphasizes that developing faster chips is the most effective method to lower AI expenses. He noted that AI currently requires 100 times more computation compared to the time of ChatGPT's release, which was just 1 month ago. Additionally, NVIDIA, along with Musk's xAI, is set to collaborate with Microsoft, BlackRock, and MGX to advance AI infrastructure. Furthermore, NVIDIA plans to invest hundreds of billions in the U.S. supply chain, according to its chief.
Dance criticizes globalization for obstructing American innovation. The European Union accuses Apple and Google of unfair practices, potentially provoking Trump. Google's Search and Play Store violate the Digital Markets Act rules, according to the EU, which also outlines how Apple must allow competitors access to its technology under the bloc's digital regulations. Europe aims to improve the compatibility of non-Apple smartwatches with iPhones. Speculation suggests that the EU's new charges against Google could result in fines of at least $35 billion. Apple argues that the EU's interoperability requirements provide unrestricted access to the iPhone, jeopardizing customer security and privacy.
Bangladesh apprehends the head of a Rohingya insurgent group on criminal allegations. Turkish law enforcement detains the mayor of Istanbul, a significant adversary of President Erdogan, amid intensifying government measures. An authoritarian crackdown results in 42,000 Kuwaitis being deprived of their nationality.
Russian state asserts ownership of $28.7 billion in assets, according to the prosecutor. In the UK, the Department for Work and Pensions has confirmed changes to major PIP, personal independence payments, and universal credit benefits. Kendall has announced a crackdown on benefits, aiming to save £5 billion annually by 2030. Experts warn that up to 1.2 million disabled individuals could lose thousands due to the UK welfare overhaul. Chuck Schumer attributes the increase in left-wing anti-Semitism to the 2008 crisis and the wokeism of the radical fringe in his new book. London's iconic black cabs face the threat of disappearing within 2 decades, according to a warning from Transport for London. Meanwhile, the BMW art car collection marks its 50th anniversary with a worldwide tour. Additionally, Tesla takedown protesters are gearing up for what they claim will be the largest day of action.
The European Union has decided to exclude the United States from its massive defense strategy. 2 weeks prior, the EU leader introduced an €800 billion initiative aimed at strengthening Europe's military capabilities, while France announced plans to reopen its 4th nuclear airbase as part of this rapid rearmament effort. Meanwhile, feeling threatened by President Trump, Canada is preparing to integrate into the EU's military industry expansion. Mark Carney has stated that Canada will invest $6 billion in a missile detection system to address threats posed by Russia and China. Additionally, the Trump administration is contemplating relinquishing the NATO command, a position that has been held solely by the United States since the time of President Eisenhower.
A significant report cautions that the global climate is entering unknown areas. In 2024, the UN reports that over 150 unprecedented climate disasters occurred worldwide. Greenpeace is ordered to pay $667 million to the company, managing the Dakota Access Pipeline for defamation.
Numerous individuals deported by Trump's administration as alleged gang members reportedly lacked criminal records in the United States, according to ICE. The Department of Justice claims that Trump theoretically possesses the authority to remove all female heads of agencies or those over the age of 40. In the United States, scientists report that NIH officials instructed them to eliminate mRNA reference.
Budgerigar brains possess a vocal sound map similar to that of humans. A new study suggests that substituting butter with certain plant oils could substantially reduce the risk of death. New research raises concerns about a potential link between tattoo ink and an increased risk of cancer. Limp Bizkit's $200 million lawsuit proceeds as judge rejects Universal Music Group's dismissal motion. 4 months prior, Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit initiated a $200 million lawsuit against Universal Music, alleging unpaid royalties. Universal Music argued that the lawsuit is based on a fallacy and sought its dismissal. Norway Wealth Fund acquires a £570 million stake in Covent Garden. The Big Bang Theory spin-off receives a title focusing on Stewart. Telegram's creator, Pavel Durov, announces that the app has reached 1 billion users and criticizes WhatsApp as a cheap, watered-down imitation. Google permits children to use Google Wallet for in-store purchases in certain nations. Huawei introduces a $1,000 foldable device that will operate on its self-created Harmony OS 5, as it promotes an alternative to Apple and Google.
Counterpoint indicates a 12% annual decrease in the global VR market in 2024, with AR plus AI smart glasses expected to dominate in 2025. Bloomberg suggests that Oracle is considering a security backstop and a minor stake to secure a TikTok deal. SoftBank plans to acquire Ampere, a Silicon Valley chip startup, for $6.5 billion.
Microsoft partners with a Swiss startup to create AI that mimics the human brain. Colorado, in the U.S., is now authorized to grant licenses to facilitators of psychedelic mushroom therapy. A review indicates that merely 10% of non-surgical treatments for back issues effectively alleviate pain.
Europe is seeking to attract researchers from the United States due to funding reductions under Trump's administration. Additionally, the Trump administration has temporarily halted $175 million in federal funding to the University of Pennsylvania because of its policy allowing transgender athletes to participate in women's sports. Meanwhile, Hungary's parliament has enacted a law prohibiting LGBTQ+ pride events.
Poland and the Baltic countries are considering exiting the landmine treaty. Meanwhile, Italy and Spain are not yet prepared to back the allocation of €40 billion in military assistance to Ukraine. Additionally, Denmark's Prime Minister has cautioned EU leaders that J.D. Vance made a valid point regarding migration.
Amtrak CEO resigns amid privatization threats from Trump and Musk. According to Bloomberg, Trump is enamored with AI, yet his tariffs increase expenses for data centers. A dismissed FTC commissioner cautions against the corrupting influence of billionaires.